Live from KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
A lot of people suspected it was coming, but there were still a lot of people holding out hope that access to abortion services would remain the law of the land.
But today's ruling came to overturn Roe v. Wade, which means abortion no longer has constitutional protection. It's now left up to states to make that decision. And several states, like Texas, have laws in place ready to ban abortion outright, making it illegal.
But district attorneys across the state say they are not interested in prosecuting abortion trigger laws, including Bexar County's District Attorney Joe Gonzalez telling Camelia Juarez people voluntarily seeking an abortion should not be concerned.
I just do not see the justice in prosecuting somebody for making such a decision that's so personal to them. I don't see the justice in prosecuting agencies and medical care providers that provide that assistance.
District Attorney Joe Gonzalez says if law enforcement agencies investigate and file a case, his office will review it.
Absent aggravating circumstances, my plan is to review each case and make that decision on a case-by-case basis.
We reached out to the San Antonio Police Department and the Bexar County Sheriff's Office about whether they will investigate abortions. San Antonio police say they do not have an answer at this time, but are trying to better understand the law. Sheriff's Office has not responded to our request. However, Gonzalez says he would consider prosecuting a case if the abortion was forced upon a woman.
Let's say, hypothetically, a 17-year-old young lady who is forced by her parents to do this under duress. That certainly, in my mind, is an extreme circumstance. But short of that, if someone is voluntarily seeking out this treatment, they ought not to be worried about being prosecuted.
This stance could change in November if Republican candidate for District Attorney Mark LaHood wins.
It's the law. I'm in the law of the land right now. You know, running for district attorney, our job is to enforce the law. We don't get to pick and choose what laws we enforce.
And regardless, if a district attorney does not comply with the law, then the state attorney general, Ken Paxton, could file sanctions, ultimately removing the DA from office. Live at the courthouse, Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Camelia. The Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade already impacting Texas abortion clinics. Planned Parenthood announced it has suspended all abortions at its clinics effective immediately. Just 80 miles north in Austin, Whole Women's Health there is also pausing abortion services. Planned Parenthood has 5 locations in San Antonio, but only 2 of them offered the procedures prior to this pause. While Planned Parenthood's legal team is currently reviewing today's ruling, all other services at their clinics remain in place.
While very interruptive to our dedication to our patients, is the right thing to do so that we have time to ensure that Planned Parenthood organizations remain compliant with the law, do not and maintain the strength of our organizations to provide health care to all of our patients for the months and years ahead of us.
Today's pause on procedures is a move in anticipation of the Texas trigger law that would outlaw abortions in the state within 30 days. We'll explain Texas trigger laws coming up in just a moment.
One side of this issue vowing to fight on despite this ruling. The other side, while celebrating this, says there are other options to abortion. People in one San Antonio organization, which has worked for 15 years to end abortions, say their goal is to provide alternatives for women. RJ Marquez tells us more about the message they want to share today.
I can tell you it's been a very emotional day. My whole morning has been spent ups and downs.
Kathy Nix is the executive director of San Antonio Coalition for Life. She says since 2007, the pro-life group has been trying to let women know there are options other than abortion.
So that abortion does not become her only choice, because that is no choice at all.
Nick said with Friday's Supreme Court decision, the coalition will move forward to bolster its pregnancy care centers that offer health screenings, STD tests, and more information.
The funding for those centers, the diapers and all of the formula and everything that a woman needs to help with her pregnancy is going to be the things that we're going to be focusing on.
The group also informs women about natural family planning they call fertility awareness-based methods.
These are scientific tools that help women with their fertility, whether they are hoping to conceive or hoping to avoid pregnancy.
The coalition also encourages women facing an unexpected pregnancy to connect with their centers.
If she chooses to parent, to helping with parenting, or if she chooses to place for adoption, help with that as well. So we're standing in the breach, and we will continue to do so.
RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Reaction to today's ruling from the Supreme Court, certainly nationwide, and it's no different right here in South Texas. People in San Antonio gathering now to share their thoughts on the overturning of Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, it's a protest that's not expected to begin for a few minutes now, but our Patty Santos is live outside the federal courthouse for something that's being organized to protest today's Supreme Court ruling. Patty.
Yeah, this is put on by several different organizations, but it's all under the umbrella of Mujeres Marchan. I want to show you what the scene looks like here. There's folks right behind me here, and there's also folks here in this area of the lawn here. We understand that they're going to be marching. The location where they're going to be marching has not been revealed to us, but we know that these are, as you can see, women, men. These are people of all ages, different colors, because what they're telling me here is what happened today really frustrates them, makes them sad, and they really just want to be able to express that frustration and the importance of what this decision means to them. But they're also trying to take action. If you see behind me here, there's also a registration area. People can register to vote, and that is where they say they're going to take the next step to. So right now, they're going to get ready. They're getting a safety briefing right now as they get ready at 6:30 to head off on this march and this protest. We're going to give you more updates coming up tonight. We'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Patty. Now we want to go back to those Texas trigger laws. It was more than a month ago that we first heard about the leaked draft of today's Supreme Court opinion. And since then, there's been a focus on these so-called trigger laws. Texas has one related to abortion, as do many states. There was essentially a plan in place for this very moment in anticipation of a change in federal law.
Think of a trigger law as a just-in-case strategy. It's a way for states to automatically change their laws based on what happens at the federal level.
A trigger law actually is a law that's passed by a legislature that goes into effect if or when the Supreme Court or the federal government changes a law.
So in this case, in Texas, it means now that the Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade.
Then 30 days after that ruling, automatic law goes into place saying that all abortions are banned in the state of Texas.
This abortion trigger law has been on the books since last summer after Governor Greg Abbott signed House Bill 1280. It came out of the same legislature that passed SB 8, the controversial law banning Texas abortions after 6 weeks. 13 states have trigger laws related to abortion, and most of those, like Texas, have their own abortion restrictions in place.
Legislators, particularly in those red states that have been trying to oppose abortion, have knowingly passed these things with the intent, or really a hope as much as anything else, or a wish that the Supreme Court would shift toward a more conservative view. And so they bid their time, basically.
This is not the first trigger law in Texas. Lawmakers passed one related to the Affordable Care Act, hoping the Supreme Court would strike down President Obama's plan. There was even a trigger law related to the national speed limit in the early 1990s.
Texas had a law on the books that said once the national mandatory speed limit is repealed, it literally triggered overnight the lifting of the speed limits and sending the state transportation department out to actually change the sign.
Change now will be nationwide with the end of constitutionally protected abortion rights, as each state is left to decide what it will do next. Here in Texas, a trigger law awaits.
And coming up in our next half hour, we are talking to UTSA Professor John Taylor about the implications of today's Supreme Court ruling and how this could affect issues outside of abortion as well. That's coming up at 6:30. Turning now to Uvalde. It has been 1 month since the deadly rampage at Robb Elementary, and tomorrow the last victim will be laid to rest. Ucia Garcia, he will be laid to rest in San Angelo. Family members say that they will remember him as a loving, sweet, outgoing, energetic, and smart little boy.
remember their names. As Myra said, 1 month since the tragic days passed, there's been no school activities throughout the Uvalde district. That includes high school graduation, which was postponed indefinitely. But those seniors will finally get to walk the stage tonight at the Honey Bowl at 7 o'clock. Our John Paul Barajas live in Uvalde this evening, where the graduating class has been practicing before their big night there. John Paul.
Steve, Myra, the turnout for this optional ceremony has been great so far as people continue filing in, and this line continues to grow as despite the doors opening at 5:30, both sides of the line continue to get longer and longer. A handful of them in Uvalde Strong shirts or even with signs. Now, we did speak to several of them off camera. Some said that it was important to be here to celebrate the accomplishments of these students, that they would not let the actions of one man keep them from coming out to do so. But one man I spoke with said he was nervous and didn't really want to come, but that his daughter is graduating and she wanted to be here, so he wasn't going to let her be here alone. We are also showing you video of the seniors practicing for tonight's ceremony, but something that was hard to notice was that many of them decorated the top of their hats with Uvalde Strong or something related to Robb Elementary. This is a small, tight-knit community, so it's important to remember that many of them are related, friends, or knew the victims some way, somehow. And as mentioned, this is a big night, a huge night for these families. These 17, 18-year-old kids are starting a new chapter in their lives, and they should celebrate it. But it also comes as this community continues to try and heal. In Uvalde, John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, John Paul. Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. This is the camera 1604 at Spurs Ranch, and you can see everything, what cars are out there. Everything's going along just fine. Everybody headed to and from with no problems.
All right, so the record today was 102. I see in the little corner of our screen 101.
Ooh, too close.
It's very close. Adam.
Yeah, 101 so far. That's our current temperature and high temperature for the day today. Of course, sometimes, by the minute things will change and then we'll get that information. But right now, 101, that's our high temperature for the day, and that's our current reading. Dew point of 59, so luckily that drier air aloft mixed down nicely this afternoon, so the heat index not a factor. By 8 o'clock, 96. 10 o'clock, 89. Warm throughout the night, midnight, 85 degrees. We're going to take a close look at area reservoir levels and our better rain chances in just a bit.
I'm Stefania Jimenez, and tonight after the game, we'll take a closer look at today's divisive decision from the Supreme Court, the facts about who's getting abortions, and more of San Antonio's reaction to that ruling. Plus,
in the room, it has to be trained that way.
learning from tragedy, the effort to prepare people for a worst case scenario, and what students are going to learn from active shooter training. We'll see you for these stories and a lot more tonight on the Night Beat after the game.
Thank you, Stefania. Yeah. All right. Another triple-digit day. Like I said, we're pushing the record. I'm in this is one of those times where I'm like, it's fine if we don't break it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
We've broken enough record high
Yes, we have.
From May through June now. Yes, we've broken plenty. And today we're close. 101, the high temperature, the record being 102. So almost hit it, but not quite. And the average high, of course, 93 degrees. We're going to be above that through the weekend. And then bit of a temperature change next week to talk about. The hot spot today, Cotulla making it to 106, and Del Rio not far away at 104 for the high. All right, let's take a look at the stats. This is our 20th 100-degree day so far this year. We have a lot of summer to go. That doesn't mean we're going to break the record, but if we stay on this pace, we will. The most amount of 100-degree days in a year, 59. That happened in 2009. Second place, 57. Third place, 41. That was back in 2013. So we'll keep that tally going and keep you updated. I do think we'll, of course, add to the tally tomorrow and Sunday, so throughout the weekend, back up to 100. But notice that drop in temperatures next week, mid-90s for a good portion of the week, actually below 100 degrees for a change. Even, I think, a good chance of getting down into the 80s on Tuesday. With that, some better rain chances. It's no coincidence that the little temperature drop comes with a little spike in rain chances. So let's talk about it here. Big picture, upper level high, Big Blue H. It's over North Texas right now, but it's close enough, of course, to be influencing our weather and keeping us dry. Around the edges of it, That's where we have the moisture around and up and around that ridge, and the severe weather as far north as the Dakotas and northern Minnesota this afternoon and evening. We can't tap into that moisture yet until the high breaks down early next week on Monday. We're going to fast forward here. This is our futurecast, Monday, 4 p.m. Weak boundary comes in from the northeast. With it, the potential for some widely separated showers and thunderstorms to develop. But we do think a slightly better chance as we get into Tuesday. This is the kind of situation where not everybody's going to get it. And even though the futurecast shows a lot of action out there, don't pay close attention to the exact placement and timing. Just the mere fact that a shift in our weather pattern is likely early next week is what we're really just pointing out. And again, not everybody's going to get it, but we do think there will be some tropical downpours on Tuesday. So cross your fingers for your neighborhood. No chance through the weekend. Monday, 30%. Tuesday, 40%. Still the chance we could raise that up a little bit. Tuesday or Wednesday, we could see a little uptick in those rain chances. Still some uncertainty with the timing and placement, but at least there's some glimmer of hope, and we could use it. You look at the area reservoir levels. Medina Lake, only 14% full. Of course, Medina, very familiar with huge fluctuations. Canyon Lake's at 93%, which is 3 feet below the conservation pool. Dew points now drop down into the 50s to near 60. Not bad. Luckily, the heat index not playing a big role in our weather because, well, dew points have dropped down. The drier air aloft mixes down nicely in the afternoon on days like today. Still 106 in Cotulla. Eagle Pass, 104 right now. Pleasanton, 103. Even Junction, triple digits. Comfort, not far at 99. Castroville, 102. And Seguin at an even 100. So by tomorrow morning, for the most part, mid-70s locally. You get outside of San Antonio, and I think we'll be in the lower 70s. Then by the afternoon, we do this all over again. Just above 100. We're forecasting officially in town 101, but of course, we'll get up to 102, maybe 103, especially on the south side and southwest side of San Antonio. We do it all again on Sunday, right near 100. Sunny and hot, a southeasterly breeze this weekend at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. And then next week, there's that temperature drop and a little spike in our rain chances. Just don't get your hopes too high, but cross your fingers. At least there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah, and we'll take a temperature drop. Thank you.
Yeah, we will.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, Spurs draft last night. I was a little surprised they took as many guards as they did, Andrew.
Yeah, they were a guard-dominant team coming into it, but clearly they had a need for speed because the kid they took at number 25, Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame, is known for his speed. He only has one gear. When we come back, we'll hear from him and Larry Ramirez, who goes one-on-one with the new Spurs draft pick. Plus, it's fight night tomorrow night. Got a preview next. The Spurs went all in on building toward the future, using all 3 of their first-round draft picks on 19-year-olds. 2 of those picks were used on guards, Malachi Branham out of Ohio State at number 20 and Blake Wesley out of Notre Dame at number 25. These 2 players caught the attention of the Spurs staff at a workout where the 2 went at each other on the court. But while the Spurs already had an eye on Malachi, thanks to some connections with the Buckeyes coaching staff, they feel like they found an interesting talent with Wesley, a combo guard with one particular trait.
You're talking about speed and downhill ability and competitiveness, a motor that just keeps going, and he loves the gym. He wants to work. He wants to get better. And he's been around some good basketball people that kind of know what it takes, and they believe in him. And so we did the homework, and we were happy with him for sure at 25.
KSAT 12's Larry Ramirez caught up with Wesley after the draft for an exclusive one-on-one interview.
Blake, welcome to San Antonio. How does it feel to be a member of the Spurs?
It feels good. It's crazy because nobody think I can do it. So just to be a San Antonio Spurs is good.
Tell me about the moment of being on the stage up there with the commissioner, smiling for the cameras.
It's good. It's hitting me right now because I wasn't a top 100 guy coming into college. I wasn't on nobody's NBA radar. I had to work for that, so I had to play with a chip on my shoulder every time. Every time I step on the court and just competing with the best. I didn't get to play UFBL, so it was good for me. I'm looking forward to Summer League, looking forward to playing with Malachi, Jeremy Socon, so it's good. I'm just enjoying it. I'm blessed, so yeah.
I read that some are calling you a sleeper draft pick and that you have elite speed. What do you think about that? And tell me about your speed.
Yeah, I like to get to the rim, so my speed is, I feel like it's like not everybody notices. I like to, one dribble, I'm to the basket, so Yeah, I mean, my speed is crazy, so I like my speed. Yeah.
Tell me about the fact you're going to get to learn from Greg Popovich.
It's gonna be good. He coached Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan. So those players are good. So then you got Josh Primo, Devin Vassell. So just happy to play with them.
Last thing, tell me about your shoes. Those are sweet.
So I got the Alexander McQueen's on. So sparkly. So I love them.
Awesome. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Larry. Here's a quick overview of the Spurs draft night. Baylor forward Jeremy Sohan was picked with 9th overall. Ohio State's Malachi Branham at 20. Notre Dame's Blake Wesley obviously at 25. And San Antonio traded the draft rights to Tennessee's Kennedy Chandler to Memphis for a future second-round pick and cash. Tomorrow night is fight night in the Alamo City, and San Antonio native Jesse Bam Rodriguez will defend his WBC super flyweight title for the first time against Thailand's Thrisaket Rungvisai. Today was the final weigh-in at the Tobin Center, and both fighters came in at 114.6 pounds. Bam is undefeated with 15 wins and 10 knockouts, and he's currently the youngest active world boxing champion. His opponent, Rungvisai, has 50 wins and 43 knockouts to his name. What else does Bam know about Rungvisai?
He's a former 2-time world champion. He's real tough, real strong. He's been in there with a lot of great fighters, but it's my time. He carries that power. That's one thing he'll always have. So I have to be smart the whole 12 rounds.
Now, this marks the first time Bam has fought in the Alamo City since 2018. It'll be held at the brand new THC Port Center and Arena. Obviously, a lot of these fights have been held at the Alamo Dome in the last couple of years, so it'll be interesting to see how the atmosphere changes in a brand new environment.
Yeah, the tech port.
That's it's going to be great.
Thanks, Andrew.
We'll be right back.
The aftermath of the United States Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade is being felt across the country, including Texas, and definitely in downtown San Antonio right now, where a protest of that decision is about to begin.
Yeah, let's check back in with our Patty Santos. Patty is out there live outside of the federal courthouse where this demonstration is about to start. And Patty, we understand the crowd has grown considerably.
Yeah, from what I can see, it's about 150, 200 people maybe here, but we're right in the middle of it. But you could see the different faces, different ages of people that are represented in this march, all of them telling me they just felt like they needed to show their disapproval, their disappointment with the decision that came down today. A lot of men also coming here with saying, this affects my mom, this affects my sister. So this really affects people. And we've been talking to doctors who say the same thing, but the group right now is going to be going around and marching in this area. We know that they're going to be marching to a location that we don't know yet, but they're waiting around just for a few minutes before they start their march. But we're going to have more of this coming up tonight on the Night Beat.
All right, Patty, thank you. And of course, there are those who support this ruling from the Supreme Court today as well. But no matter where you stand on that, it's important to understand where the ruling comes from and what it means going forward. So let's bring in John Taylor, chair of the Department of Political Science with UTSA. John, always a pleasure to have you here. So let's start with this monumental ruling. What's at the heart of it? What really was the factor in this decision?
Well, we want to do the legal side. It's the right to privacy is what it comes down to, because Roe versus Wade is based on the 1965 Supreme Court case of Griswold versus Connecticut. It's out of the Griswold decision that the right to privacy is established under both the 9th and the 14th Amendments. Out of the Roe decision, we have to realize that other right to privacy cases come into play, particularly the Lawrence decision from 2003, which deals with sexual relations privacy, and then the 2015 Obergefell decision, which deals with marriage equality, same-sex marriage.
So, can I boil it down simply, John, in saying that elections matter? That your vote matters in this whole thing when we talk about the Supreme Court?
Absolutely, they matter, because let's be honest here. The last 3 Supreme Court justices appointed, all appointed by Trump, all voted in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade today.
And there was such talk during his presidency about those appointments being his legacy, and that's what we're watching play out right now. You mentioned some of those other topics outside of abortion, things like same-sex marriage, contraception. Those have been the 2 other issues, in addition to abortion, that there has been real concern about today in terms of could this ruling affect those rights? Can you explain what's behind that concern?
Absolutely. Justice Thomas, in his opinion, it was a concurring opinion, he essentially said that these particular issues, the issues related to contraception, to same-sex marriage, to same-sex relations, need to be revisited. That should be a warning sign to anybody who is concerned about marriage equality, concerned even about contraceptives for married people.
But in the same light, Justice Alito said this ruling only has to do with abortion. So how do you, I mean, are we reading tea leaves here on what may happen?
I think we're trying to read some tea leaves here. To be honest, Justice Alito can say all he wants, but if you read through the decision, it's a long opinion, 200 plus pages. It seems more evident than not that those issues of same-sex marriage and of contraception among others are on the table.
So we'll wait to see what happens going forward. In that same vein, we're watching to see what's going to happen in terms of the politics of all of this, the political impacts. We heard the president say today that Roe is now definitely on the ballot come November. So with this decision now leaving it up to the states when it comes to abortion, do you think that there is going to be a significant impact to Texas in November based off of this?
That's a great question because, first of all, 6 months or 5 months really is a lifetime in politics. We don't know what else is going to happen between now and early November. One would like to think that the abortion issue and the right to privacy issues, among others, reproductive rights, is going to be on the table and be out there. However, one never knows. Additionally, is it going to energize voters, particularly young voters, particularly young female voters who are more likely to be concerned about reproductive rights access? We don't know. That's one of the million-dollar questions, I think, as we head into the summer and particularly into the early fall.
John, we have 30 million people who don't vote. I mean, we have 30 million people who don't vote every year. I mean, is this a wake-up call? I mean, certainly Democrats are trying to make it that. I mean, I heard the president, I heard the vice president, I heard people up and down, the Democratic ranks saying this is on the ballot in November. I mean, do you see this as a wake-up call? Is this a seminal moment when it comes to voting in our country?
As a political scientist, I would say I would hope so. But to be honest, realistically, don't hold your breath. I mean, voters are voters. They're relatively fickle, and especially in a midterm election, turnout is always traditionally lower than a general election for president. I mean, Texas in particular is not good with turnout. I'd like to hope and think that we'd see a higher turnout based on this issue. However, one can make the argument that pro-life voters may be just as energized as reproductive rights voters. It's quite possible.
I always like asking your perspective when it comes to political history. So 1973, when Roe versus Wade was ruled on, certainly times have changed. The timing of that decision when it comes to elections at that time was different than now. But is there any political history that leads us to believe this could be the implications when it comes to elections based on what happened in 73 and the years following?
You could go back to Dred Scott in the 1850s, which was the catalyst for the Civil War. Let's please not go there. However, it's relatively rare to see a Supreme Court case like this create such a almost what we might call a paradigmatic shift politically. One can make the argument that's what we saw with the Brown decision in the 1950s that ends segregation in public schools in particular. One never knows. There are Supreme Court decisions along the way that we've seen that may or may not have an impact, some that we think are going to be profound. I think this one is profound. We're talking about 49 years of abortion being constitutional, now being found to be unconstitutional and being sent back to some states where you may see complete elimination of abortion, other states where you may see regulation, in fact, may see even expansion of abortion rights. California, Oregon, and Washington have talked about that. So one never knows. That said, you would hope that this is one of those catalysts for the less than thrilled voters that don't turn out too often.
Bottom line here, John, is this, if you're Greg Abbott, if you're Dan Patrick, if you're somebody in state leadership, I've seen the Beto O'Rourke campaign already trying to capitalize on this. And in the latest polls, it seems as if maybe he has some momentum in the governor's race. How are you viewing this? Is this energizing your base? Or is this, are you worried that, it's going to energize people who don't normally vote?
Well, you first of all think that Abbott, Patrick, and Ken Paxton, the three that really pushed this thing, and the legislature as well, are probably doing a victory lap today, and that's their right. But O'Rourke obviously has been talking about protecting reproductive rights. There's a big rally in Austin on Sunday. Will it again? It goes back to this idea: will it energize voters? Abortion is but one issue of a number. We talk about voters as well being concerned about everything from the electric grid to high gas prices to concerns about guns and gun safety. One just never knows.
Yeah, the common rule though is people usually vote with their pocketbook. We'll see if that changes after today. John Taylor, the chair of the Political Science and Geography Department at UTSA. Thank you always for your time and insight.
Pleasure.
We'll be right back. Look outside with live cam, another hot one out there. I have a feeling that's going to carry over into the weekend.
It's kind of one of those days where you're searching for clouds or a tree or something to give you some sort of shade.
Yeah, you see all the cattle huddled underneath that one oak tree, right out there. It's one of those days. Now, if you missed it earlier this morning, this is a picture from one of our KSAT Connect viewers, and posted this on our weather app of the 5 planets that lined up last night. The Planet Parade was what we called it. 5 planets. Well, you can't see because of that banner is Mercury at the bottom, but even labeled them Venus, Mars, Jupiter as well, and of course the moon mixed in there. This evening, right now we're 101. We'll be 96 at 8 p.m., 89 at 10 p.m., midnight 85 degrees, clear sky throughout. If you don't like this 100-degree heat, just wait till next week. We'll talk about those changes when they arrive, what they mean for temperatures and rain chances in just a bit.
Okay, get this. There was a new twist on a classic condiment. French's is releasing a limited edition ketchup-flavored ice pop called a French Sickle. It is described as a savory tomato flavor balanced with a hint of salty sweetness. Only available at a few pop-up locations in Canada and only for a few days.
Those Canadians. If there's good news that goes along with this, it's that these popsicles are free. The popsicles were created in collaboration with the Canadian ice pop brand Happy Pops. Not French's first trip off the beaten path, though. In the past few years, the company has also brought us French's mustard ice cream and mustard beer.
Well, it's not here and no one has to pay for it, so I don't feel so bad.
Why would you think up such a thing?
I don't know. To get people to talk about it.
I guess, yeah, it worked.
Yep.
You can make it at home, in your own freezer. Just squirt some ketchup in, put a stick in it and see what happens.
I have people very close to me that will put ketchup on everything. They'll go to steak houses, want to put ketchup on the steak, all that. I don't know that they would do.
Popsicle stick is the next step.
I don't know that they would do ketchup sickles.
I'm going to text him and ask.
Yeah, ask.
Well, I draw the line at putting ketchup on quiche. That's where I draw the line, on the blood sausage. No, you do not ruin that with ketchup.
That's a polka song, isn't it? Ketchup on the quiche.
100 through the weekend. Not as hot next week. And a few opportunities for rain. Yes, that's right. Actually, Who Stole the Quiche is a polka song. It's one of my favorites, yeah. Who stole the quiche?
I knew you were going to get,
from the butcher shop. 101 tomorrow, 100 on Sunday. Then I do think there's a chance we drop down into the 80s by Tuesday. Frankie Yakovic, look it up. It's a great song, really catchy. All right, so looking at the month in review, June. Another month with, what do we have now? 8 record high temperatures. The whole month has been above average. And if June were to end today, it would be the hottest June on record here in San Antonio. But you look at the forecast, the last few days of the month, that's when we'll see temperatures fall off a bit and be near or even slightly below average for temperatures. So we may come in second place, but right now we're nearly 6 degrees above average. You look at the readings across the state, mostly right around 100, Abilene 103, 99 in Amarillo, Del Rio 103, Laredo 104, Cotulla, that's the hot spot at 106 right now, and Eagle Pass not far behind at 104. And even locally, 98 Bulverde, 100 Converse, Divine 103, Comfort 99. You get the idea. More of the same, more of this heat, and tomorrow, and really the whole weekend is going to be a lot like today. A lot of sunshine, 70s in the morning. That's lower 70s in outline areas. So Bernie 71, Hondo about 73, Floresville 73. Then by the afternoon, we get back just above 100. So I'm thinking about 102 near Stinson in the south and southwest side of San Antonio, but 101 officially. You get farther to the north, even Timberwood Park and Bulverde, right around the century mark, and Seguin about 101. Sunday, we do it all over again. Try to find the pool to cool off or some waterway to try to make it more bearable out there. And of course, drink plenty of water, get in the shade as much as you can. And as I often suggest, if you don't have AC, the refrigerated meat aisle at H-E-B. That's a comfortable spot when it's hot outside. All right, taking a look at the big picture. Big Blue H, upper level high that's pressing down on us. And the moisture and the thunderstorm activity is on the periphery of it. Unfortunately, we're just too close to the center to be able to tap into any of that. But our pattern is going to break down a bit next week, starting Monday. And our futurecast here still shows and still illustrates some showers and thunderstorms developing on Monday. I think the coverage will be pretty limited, but then a slightly better chance as we get into Tuesday. So we could have slightly better coverage across all of South and Central Texas. This doesn't mean everybody's going to get it, but you can at least cross your fingers because there's some hope that your neighborhood could see some downpours, particularly on Tuesday. No chance Saturday and Sunday, just sunshine. Monday, 30%, Tuesday up to 40%, Wednesday, 30%. Of course, we'll be fine-tuning this forecast, and these percentages may be changing or fluctuating a bit, and even the timing of it, of course, can change. So stay tuned throughout the weekend, and we'll keep you updated and up to speed. Here's your KSAT 12-hour forecast. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., 76 degrees. By the noon hour, 91 already, nothing but sunshine. And then up to about 101 for the high. We should hit that around 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon. There's the little temperature drop next week. I mean, we could be talking 80s by Tuesday. And then notice the whole week, we're forecasting under 100 for the high temperature.
All right,
who
sang Who Stole the Kishka?
Frankie Yankovic is one of the primary.
Is that Weird Al's dad?
No, not that I'm aware of, actually.
Okay. I just was curious. So I thought when you said Yankovic, I was like,
Round, firm, fully packed. It was hanging on the rack.
No.
Here's today's in case you missed it.
We have some breaking news. Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade, ending 50 years of federal abortion rights.
For a near half-century, abortion has been a constitutional right, now overturned by the court's 6-3 conservative majority. Inside the Capitol, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi weighed in, and House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy showed support.
It's a slap in the face to women about using their own judgment to make their own decisions about their reproductive freedom.
Americans celebrate this historic victory because we know it will save the lives of millions of children.
America's largest bank, JP Morgan Chase, now says it will pay for U.S.-based employees who need to travel more than 50 miles to get a medical service. That includes, quote, legal abortions. Other major companies have also put in place policies that ensure staff have access to abortion services, including Amazon and Tesla.
Turning now to the topic of gun reform, Congress passing the most sweeping gun bill in 30 years. And while some are criticizing what that bill doesn't accomplish, others say it should be respected for what it does.
The $13 billion package will enhance background checks for buyers under 21, prevent partners convicted of domestic violence from purchasing a gun, and provide funding for gun violence prevention programs, school security, and mental health. But the package falls short of President Biden's proposals, including reinstituting a ban on assault-style weapons and universal background checks.
It isn't everything we would have liked to see in legislation. It takes us down the road, the path to more safety, saving lives.
There is a demonstration underway right now. Several hundred people gathered in downtown San Antonio, just outside the federal courthouse there, in opposition of today's Supreme Court ruling, which overturns Roe versus Wade, ending the constitutional protections of abortion rights in this country.
Yeah, and it actually looks like people have already started their march. It looks like it just began. Like we said, several hundred people. This is a ground view of the march as it begins outside the new federal courthouse, which is on Nueva Street. And actually, from what we could tell from Sky 12, it looked as if they were marching up Nueva towards the county courthouse from where they were. Again, they're not telling us where they are marching to. But as Patty Santos said, there are a lot of people who have showed up just in the last few minutes for this protest. And that's a better view there where you see the people who are actually walking in front of the new federal courthouse.
Yeah, it looks like they're making their way on what's expected to be a mile-long march in protest here. And as Steve mentioned, our Patty Santos photographer crew out there as well. And we're going to have details about this demonstration as well as a reaction from those who were there on the ground about why they felt the need to be out here and share their voices in San Antonio this evening. You can look for that on the Night Beat.
We'll see you after Stanley Cup hockey.